Hello, everyone. It's Reverend Robin with Healing with Reverend Robin. I just wanted to check in on everybody and see how everyone was doing and see how you handled the holidays, because I know that some relatives can trigger certain reactions. So I was just, curious to see how everybody did, how you handled it, and, you know, did you behave? Did you try not to get into political fights? Did you, the two subjects you don't bring up during the holidays: politics and religion, which that was always what we were told. But I don't know, to me, if you want to know somebody in and out, why not talk about it? But in a respectful way. And I know that's not always easy to do. So, anyhow, I just thought I'd come on. I think I have I had a cat behind me. I guess she decided to leave. Um, I've got my table kind of moved out a little bit, so I'm like really squished in here because the boyfriend's little Christmas tree is out there. And I don't know if I can show it or not without, screwing the camera up. Let's see. Yeah, there it is right there. So the plug is below my, oops, sorry about that, is below my bed, my Reiki table. So hence the reason it's pulled out. So, but that's got that, I didn't light it today, but, and we're finally coming out of Mercury retro. I think Saturn came out of retro or is also coming out of retro. So maybe things will get a little bit more positive instead of so everybody being so uptight. But the thing with the all the retros and stuff, a lot of stuff has come to the surface. It was probably a good time to do shadow work on yourself, on what triggered certain things. I'm going to adjust the camera one more time, though, because I look like a midget. Okay, now I cut my head off. Gotta love it. But there we go. That's better. So, but I'm a little tired and stuff. This going from 3D to 4D to 5D energy's wacky, and I'm not getting much sleep. I'm lucky I'm getting 5 hours, if that. So every so often, God will bless me with 9 hours. And I'm hoping he does that because I've got to usher at church tomorrow. So it's like, just give me a little bit more sleep. So that's one thing you will see with me. I am so real. There's nothing phony about me. What you see here is what you get. I thought I'd throw in a little bit. I got new cards, Astro Star Codes, Astro by Heather Roan Robbins. I've never used them. They just came in a week ago. I got that one, and I got 2 other decks. Let me see. The shelf is right here, so I don't have too far to go. That's the one thing with my Reiki room and stuff. Everything is very much accessible from. I got Colette Baron Reed's Goddess Power. I haven't really used that one yet. There's a couple more I want to buy. Then Mary Magdalene Oracles. I haven't used those really. There's a couple. There's a spiritual store over in Clarence, Dragonfly. So I'm going to probably go there uh, probably the second week in December, pick up some stuff. Um, I'm only doing uh, small stores, small businesses uh, for Christmas. So I'll be going to Marilla for the Marilla Country Store. Alden's got a couple of small stores, so I'll be hitting those. Um, I'll also be hitting, uh, where else? East Aurora. I love East Aurora. I love going to Vidler's. You know, it's a hometown store, um, privately owned. So I'm trying not to do any big corporate stores. Like I need some plumbing done. So I'm not going to Lowe's or Home Depot. I will be going to Value because that's locally owned. Value's only in Western New York. So I'll be doing that because they've got the shower stuff that I need. And then my plumber is also local. In fact, his grandparents used to live next door to the house I'm living in now. So, and his older brother's on my Facebook page. In fact, two of his older brother, or his father, I should say, and his uncle are on my Facebook page. So that's how I got his name and stuff, and he's really good. So I like dealing with local people. You know, small town. I was raised that way. My father was a small town Alden businessman for 30 years. Um, Norm Gilbert, TV and appliance. We had furniture. We had bedding. We had carpet. We had flooring. We had TVs, refrigerators, microwaves, the whole shop. You know, Dad had that store for 30 years. And then he got sick. He had prostate issues and almost bled to death from that. And then my mother had her congestive heart failure, um, the first one. So they closed the store down and moved to Florida for 10 years. And then as soon as my mother got back up here, she passed a week later. So I think she knew she was uh, on the brink of passing. So, um, you know, I was only 32 at the time. So I know the holidays can be very tricky for people, um, especially if somebody has passed recently. Uh, like my ex-husband passed in October, and the boyfriend's brother passed in September. So, it's been, I know things usually for us, for me at least, usually things go in threes. So I'm not, knock on wood, not sure who's going to be next, but we shall see. But I just wanted to, check and see how everybody was doing, if anybody was, um, having issues. That's the one thing. Reiki is good for not just physical ailments. It's also good for um, releasing mental blocks and issues. So instead of taking drugs, have somebody that does Reiki give you do a Reiki session on you. It's honestly, one of the easiest ways to do it. I know that last year when I was so sick, I got a thing from the Celiac Foundation, and they wrote an article on pretty much the same stuff I went through last year, and that was different high blood pressure medication causing people with celiac disease to get extremely sick and wind up in the ER. which is what happened to me 9 times. And nobody figured it out, until I went off of everything. I mean, I was made to feel like it was all in my head. And after reading this article, in fact, I'm going to go back into my emails and print up the article, and I'm going to send it to my previous doctors so that they see it wasn't in my head, that these medications were causing me to get sick, because if we're not our own healthcare advocate, nobody else cares, especially doctors nowadays. They just, here you go, here's a pill. Oh, you can't sleep, here's another pill. You can't do this, oh, here's another pill. And the high blood pressure medications, and the fact that they were making me so sick and would raise the blood pressure sky high. And then you get to the hospital and they give you Xanax to lower it, which then gives you anxiety. So it was just snowballing. And I am so glad to be back to normal. Blood pressure is running 117 over 72, which is pretty good. No stomach issues because I'm not taking anything. I'm back on my original meds. Had they just let me grieve for my brother, which is why the blood pressure raised in the first place. But, doctors just want to keep on shoving pills down your throat. And it's like, no, they got to stop doing that. They need to get back to treating, well, first of all, finding out what the issue is and then treating it instead of guessing and just using us as guinea pigs. I think we're all getting a little tired of being guinea pigs. But, in this, as you know, I never know what God wants me to talk about. It just comes through. I'm just a little channeler that, my voice doesn't change. I'll bounce from one subject to another because they don't seem to care which order I put things. I don't write down notes because they don't stick to the notes anyhow. they just, here, we're going to talk about this now. And now we're going to talk about this. So I just go with the flow. But I hope everybody had a nice Thanksgiving. It's flipping cold here in Western New York. Yeah, the last couple of days, I didn't get much done outside because the wind was so strong. The one night we had gusts up over 50, several trees in the city that were starting to rot or were rotten on the inside. You couldn't tell from the outside. I mean, they came right out of the ground and split, and they wiped out a few cars in the city. So the tree companies were out there removing and cutting down trees that were issues. I hate to be that person that, well, the couple people, I mean, the one it just went and smashed that poor guy's car or woman's car. It's a total crap job because that's not savable. There's no way. So hopefully they had good insurance and stuff and they can get a new vehicle to replace it. That's one thing, knock on wood. I love my vehicle. It's a 2014 Honda CRV. And I hate the new cars where you don't put the key in the ignition. That's not me. They're making too many electrical issues in your cars, instead of taking it back to a little bit easier time when things weren't so electronic. Because when one thing goes, forget it, it's just a snowball. This one goes at dot, 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 and it's like, yeah, $10,000 later, you get your car back. So thankfully, I got new tires on it back in end of August, beginning of September. Made my last car payment in September. So that's always nice, especially when you're on a fixed income. You don't have to worry about, am I going to, have enough money for the payments. Thankfully, my Social Security also went up. Unfortunately, it was because my ex-husband died. Um, I didn't realize that even though we hadn't been married um, in 20 years, but I had been married to him for 18. So, well, I guess it's been 25 years since we've been divorced. But I guess women um, can get their ex-husband's Social Security because you're considered the survivor, because neither one of us remarried. So that was a huge surprise. Totally grateful for that, because that puts me into a different bracket. Um, so now I'll be paying taxes, because before I was under the poverty line. They don't really give seniors very, depending on what your jobs were. Mine were all low paying jobs, so I didn't have a lot in built up for Social Security, where my ex-husband worked at Moog, so that was a decent paying job. Had he stayed in roofing and siding, no, that was not a good paying job. That's why so many of the immigrants are coming here and they're doing that job, because the contractors don't want to pay that much and they'll take less money, you know. Um, so I feel bad for everybody that's tangled up with this immigration stuff. You know, our my parents were, or well, my parents weren't, but my father's parents were immigrants from Scotland. They went to Canada first, but decided, yeah, the land wasn't, there wasn't enough opportunity up there. So that's they came down to Buffalo, and then my mom's parents, um, my my grandmother's side came from Switzerland and Germany, and they came before 1700. And then my grandfather, her husband, um, his family came in the mid 1700s. So the Amish from Germany and Switzerland came over at that time. In fact, my I think it was fifth great grandmother, was killed by Native Americans in the Delaware massacre. So we go back to the Hustettlers. Um, so, I love doing the Ancestry.com. Still trying to figure out the boyfriend's mom's side, because she was adopted. And we didn't find out she was adopted until after she passed. So we don't have her family history, whether it's medical or anything else. We just don't have that. I've got to go through uh, the boyfriend's brother who's passed. I have to go through his paperwork and stuff that we've got and see if he's got anything listed in it. He's got the whole genealogy chart on his dad's side, but I didn't see his mom's side. So we found out that Chris is not German, which is what he thought he was. He's Scotch, Irish, and English. So on both sides, his father and his mother's side. So it's, you're trying to figure out who, what, where. So, and that's the only thing, especially with closed adoptions, they're harder to find information out on. you know so, and he won't hire somebody that does genealogy to get more details, because I really would like to know, you know, who his mom's side was. I think that's important. It's important for our own well-being. I think people don't realize that our health issues, some can go back through parts of your family. I mean, like with me, I've got thyroid nodulars, and my sister's got Hashimoto's. Well, had we not known that my grandmother had Graves, my aunt had, what do you call it? Also had Graves. So my cousin and I have both had the thyroid nodulars. Now, my cousin, hers were so large that they had to be surgically removed. My sister takes medication for the Hashimoto's, and now my dad had dementia, which his mother also had, and also had, but he was never diagnosed with it, celiac disease, and his father had the stomach issues. So you're going to find that if you have celiac, if you check into your family background, most of it comes from Europe. So, see, that's another thing we can't find out because we don't have his mother's information. We found out his brother was taking anxiety medication, and Chris has mood swings, but he deals with it through alcohol. I guess his sister also has and takes medication. So it's got to be something that came from his mom's side of the family, because it's not on his dad's side. We know that much. So, that's why I always suggest to people, do your ancestry DNA, and health reasons can come up. So, I mean, my mother was diabetic, but back in the Amish, if I looked at any of the health books from back then, for congestive heart, they called that dropsy. So, I figured that out. I don't remember if they put anything in there in the books for diabetes, because my mom had that. Now, my mother's mom passed from a stroke, which is what my brother passed from, was a stroke. Lance's cholesterol was high. He was on blood thinners. He really passed because of the doctor's carelessness. When he had his stroke, and it was a mild stroke, then the doctor in the hospital down in Florida decided to take him completely off of blood thinners so that they could do, well, as my brother called it, rotor-rooting the veins in the neck, or the arteries in the neck. And that was supposed to be done on the Monday, and he died on Sunday, because then he had a massive stroke because of them taking the blood thinners away. Had they done it gradual, it wouldn't have happened. But I guess when our time is up, our time is up. So, um, miss him a lot. Last week would have been his 81st birthday. He passed at 79. He was three 3 or 4 months short of being 80. Now, my father, when he passed, he was also 3 months short of turning 80. But Dad's dementia was so bad, the last month they put him into a nursing home. My father had remarried. And but there's a lot of health issues that people can find out where in the family it came from by doing your DNA, you know. Now, I want to do the dogs. I've got the dog's DNA, but I want to do another thing through Chewy, which I'm going to do in December when my check comes in, because I want to find out what his allergies are, so that I can make sure that he doesn't get that food if it's a food issue and stuff. Because this poor thing, I mean, the older he gets, the worse the allergies get. I mean, I know he's allergic to a lot of the same stuff I am. He has tree allergies and grass allergies. And how do you take a dog out to go to the bathroom without him walking on the grass? So, and he doesn't want his feet washed every time I bring him back in. So, but there's so many things that you can find out for health, and we are always told that we bring on our own death by something we've done. So, we have to figure out, my leg's cramping up. We have to figure out oh yes, go Bills tomorrow. My second team that I like is Pittsburgh. So who are we playing? Pittsburgh. So, yeah, there's going to be a bunch of teams in the playoffs that haven't been there in a while. I don't know if the Bills are going to make it or not. We are 7-4, I think. And I think Pittsburgh's got the same record. So, we'll have to see how that is. But let's throw a card. I'm going to put a different pair of my glasses on. And, some days, and my wrist is kind of screwed up. I put my Christmas tree up the other day, and before I put it up, I had it sitting in the living room in the box, and I was vacuuming the floor, and I forgot the box was behind me, and I went backwards. And when I came down, I used this hand, so now my thumb and my wrist is kind of messed up. I'm hoping I didn't fracture anything. So I've been wearing a little brace on my wrist, but it's too hard to shuffle cards that way. And so, but usually I just fan them out. As I said, these are brand new cards, so they're not gonna fan out the way I want them to. But I'm just pulling one, and we shall see what that comes up to be. Oh, okay. Sun. Source. Number 18, which comes out to a 9 in numerology, which is what we are in right now, is the year of 9. And that's why there's 9 stands for closures on things, and things coming to a head, and the truth's coming out. That's pretty much why everything's a little chaotic right now. Okay, 18, Sun. Luminaries. In your natal chart, the sun symbolizes the core of your personality, your life force, your ego, and your consciousness. The sign and aspects of the sun describe how you express that basic vital energy. From your earthly perspective, the sun circles the zodiac once a year, but in truth, the sun is the center point around which all the planets revolve. All other bodies in the solar system reflect its light. It is unimaginably huge. Millions of Earths could fit within it. Action is the sun's light shines through the teacher, actor, lover, leader, and those who use their enthusiasm, warmth, and charisma for the common good. It's time for you to take center stage. Let the sunlight shine through you, illuminate and energize your surroundings, and use this to be of service. Notice what feeds your vitality and work with it. As you let the sun flow through you, your health will improve. You will draw support to your energy and your enthusiasm. Step into your potential. If you are asking about a project, notice how the vitality flows through the design and clears the path. Let this situation be the channel for the sun's energy and feel it take on its own life. Challenge: narcissism, which is kind of what the president has. It is the shadow of the sun's energy, the false belief that I am the center of the universe and you are not. Learn to earn attention and respect rather than demand or expect it. And the gift, the sunlight movement, is an opportunity to let your ego step out of the way. Let the sun's light flow through you. Let spirit do the work. Shine wholeheartedly. Share the warmth with friends, family, your community, and the world. Make an offering. Live the truth. I am the center of the universe, and so are you. And the reason I said the president is because his sun is in, I'm trying to remember, his rising, no, his ascendant is in the sun. And he's showing a lot of narcissism. I'm a Leo, so my sun is in Leo, and which is a strong position. But my moon and my rising ascendant sign is both Pisces. So the water kind of calms down my fire sign. I have more than 5 planets in fire, but I also have 4 planets in water, 2 Pisces, 1 Cancer, and 1 Scorpio. So I'm pretty much balanced on the fire and water. I think I have 1 earth sign, and that's pretty much it, you know. And when you do astrology and stuff, I don't personally do it. I have tried to learn it, but it's like above my pay grade. So I watch my other astrologers and stuff do things. So that's how I can pick up which planets and stuff are retro and which ones aren't, because I've got 7 different astrologers that I follow. I follow Kathy Rose, who also has a channel on here. I follow Steve Judd, who also has a channel on here. I follow Rick Levine, who has a channel on here, and a couple other people, but I don't get into theirs. Those are usually the 4 I watch the most, because they seem to. Oh, and Pam Gregory. They all seem to. Steve Judd talks more where I can understand what he's talking about. and Kathy is somewhat, but Pam kind of, when she talks, she kind of goes right over my head because she talks about all the aspects and stuff, and I'm clueless on all that stuff. So, you know, but when you're, what we have to do is we have to remember, excuse me, we have to remember that when we want to heal, we have to heal both the body, mind, and spirit. You can't just do one, you have to do all three. So that'll mean doing body work, doing mental work, and doing inner shadow work for your soul. And we have to all remember when we die, the only thing we're dropping is the bodies. The soul continues. You know, you may not see the person, but they're still around you. So during the holidays, I have a lot of, I got more relatives on the other side than I got over here. So I try to leave an open seat at the table for any of them to pop in. And believe me, they do pop in because they make sure they let me know that they're here. So, um, so I know if you're having hard times during the holidays because somebody has passed, just remember they don't leave your side. Well, they do, but they don't, you know. Um, they check in. They'll give you messages. You'll smell their perfume. You'll smell cigarettes or cigar or whatever they smoked. Um, you know, you'll hear a song on the radio, different things, or birds, cardinals and stuff. Um, so it's that's just, they try to comfort us because they know we have a harder time here than they're having on the other side. We have to just trust, have faith, um, and kind of go with the flow. So, but I think I'm going to sign off. You know, I've got some resin coasters I'm going to be doing, so I have to get to those. And Thursdays I do ceramics. I'm learning to. I started to get to the point where I was staying home all the time, which isn't good for you. So get out and do things with others. Um, I pretty much do things alone. So, um, I mean, there's a group there, but I go by myself. You know, when I went through my divorce, I would take myself out to dinner. There's no reason why you can't. So, but I'm more of an introvert than an extrovert. But I can survive. You know, it's kind of funny because God said do a YouTube station, and it was like, what? You know, um, I wasn't, I was not sure about it. I don't have a lot of followers. So if you like the content, share. I'm trying to get people to subscribe. I'm not in this to make money. The more people who you feel could use some guidance, you know, um, I would appreciate any extra followers. Subscribe, like, um, leave comments. I, the comments are open, but nobody ever leaves anything. So, you know, we uh, we all need some support sometimes. So I would appreciate it. And you all have a great day. Stay safe. And God bless. Peace out.